Right, we're finally on take two in this Monday Night Live, and you're watching it on cricket.com with me, Avni Shaidi, who's wearing the brand new WPL jersey. As you can see, no RCB game today, and there's no watch along today because it's Monday Night Live. And as usual, you can see Akshay Kumar Swami and Nikhil Popat on your screens right now. I'll get their thoughts first up, but I know it'll take a while for you guys to just find out the new stream, so we apologize on that if you guys are just joining us, and we'll entertain comments as usual on the show today. Lots to talk about with regards to reflecting at Ranchi and also getting a perspective from a really good cricket expert. I say good cricket expert because that's something that we don't use nowadays, apart from ourselves, of course, but that will happen in due course. We'll also talk about Hardik Pandya returning to full fitness, and he's going to be taking part in that DY Paddle T20 Cup. More on that, and not to forget the whole shambles which has gone on in the Andhra cricket team, which is surrounding Hanuma Vihari and his absolute gut-wrenching message on Instagram. We'll get some quotes from that and pick the bones about that. But time to get to the guys right now. Akshay, you first. Fantastic work with the WPL so far. How's your niece? More than how are you?
She's fine. She's doing fine right now. She's just crying for some ice cream, but her ears are fine, thankfully, because my watch clearly suggested that it's already exceeded 30 decibels and whatnot. But yeah, couldn't be more happier, man. The WPL's gotten off to a fantastic start, so I've been having great fun just covering it. So it's been great fun for me.
Absolutely, and I can slowly see the trickle in terms of numbers of people watching this Monday Night Live podcast. So like I said, apologies because there's a technical glitch. Nikhil, coming to you, I saw you a while ago in that review, which went well. So you guys go check that out as well. But after you've seen some of the reactions on Twitter, you're happy on this Monday as an Indian fan?
Yeah, I was always happy. Anyway, I was happy because you get to learn a lot more. But I think it sinks in even more in terms of the magnitude. We discussed about not taking home wins for granted. You should definitely not even think about taking this one for granted. And do not just go by the score lines that you won by 434, or you won by 5 wickets, you won by 100 runs. While watching that this wasn't easy. They had to work hard. They had to find every muscle in them to find that fight that we'll have to turn this around. And it wasn't a small lead. So I think that is something that will just stay on as a very good memory and a very good home series to cherish.
Absolutely. Now, it was amazing as a win. And if we take a look at the comparisons to Gabba, which we pointed out earlier on social media, it's quite ridiculous because the last two times India chased 150 plus in their fourth innings, you can look at the similarities. In the Gabba, they were, of course, led by Mumbai captain and Ajinkya Rahane. Virat was still in paternal leave back then. And not to forget that essentially the other facts fall in place as well. Not also to forget the man of the match going the wicketkeeper's way on that occasion. Right, time to get to our M&L guest this evening. And it is, of course, an old friend of the show, which is good to see. Jarrod Kimber pops on. Jarrod, thanks for doing this. Really, really good to see you again. Where are we? Because by the looks of your wardrobe, I'm guessing the UK.
Yeah, I'm in the UK, mate.
And how has all the Bazballing gone down so far with the Brits?
Maybe they missed this morning, so I haven't really caught up with them this morning. I've just been working on the series myself. But look, I think most English fans thought they were going to lose 5-0, and they have been in a chance of winning 3 of the 4 test matches. It's funny, Indian fans keep telling me this is a failure. Bazball's a failure. And I'm like, no. If they came here and they were 3-1 down and they were only a chance of winning 1 game, it would be a failure. The fact that they won a game, before Bazball, they were losing to the West Indies. They're looking a lot better than that now, and they're still a flawed team, but I think most English fans will have enjoyed this. I know the ratings on TV and radio and on the internet and everything in the UK were really, really high. So clearly the local fans were getting behind the team.
All right, I want to just pick Jarrod's mind on a various bunch of things. And Mohammad, we'll probably try to get Michael Womber. We've got someone better tonight than Jarrod. So, of course, feel free to ask him some questions because we have him for like 5 minutes or so. And we'll, of course, ask Akshay next to quiz him as well. Jarrod, I just want to know about how Bazball can refine itself with regards to the series result. Stokes, of course, has come out in the post-presentation saying that, you know what, it's fine. It doesn't bother us. How do you kind of reflect on it? And do you think they'll actually change in Dharamsala? Not really, right?
It's funny because these last two test matches have been, I think they're two of their three slowest test matches as far as scoring. Like India, up until India lost those wickets, India was actually scoring quicker in this match than England was, right? And so it is already being refined, and it's constantly being refined. I think if we have a look at it, I mean they went to Pakistan to play in Asia, but essentially Pakistan just completely lost the plot. So they didn't really learn as much from playing in Asia as they were hoping to in that particular series. Here, they've had to look at how to manufacture wickets without seam bowlers, and how to make spinners who are not spinners into spinners, and all these sorts of things that they've been doing on the fly. So it's already changing and evolving, and we're seeing that step by step all the way through.
Yeah, it just makes you think if that 196 that Ollie Pope didn't muster in Hyderabad, how it could have actually been 4-0 against Bazball, so to speak. Akshay, what do you have for Jarrod today?
I have a lot of questions. Firstly, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the fact that Avni sort of, completely led us in the dark. I had absolutely no clue that Jarrod would be here, else I'd be a lot more prepared. But all right, I do have a couple of questions off the top of my head. Firstly, Jarrod, we've heard a lot about, Bazball and whatnot. I want to understand what's your definition of Bazball. What do you think Bazball is? A lot of people are talking about, it's basically T20 cricket being played in the red ball format and all of that. Is that a fair sort of statement to make? I mean, in terms of how Bazball is being defined, or do you have something else?
No, it's not that really. It's more, if you really want a copy of it, it's Brendan McCullum's career, right? Like, I mean, that's the best way of looking at it. Brendan McCullum manufactured wickets with Neil Wagner and turned Neil Wagner into one of the most unique bowlers we have ever seen in Test cricket, right? And he basically took really flat wickets in New Zealand and worked out how to make them work in his team's advantage. That's what England do. Right? McCullum knew what it was like to not have a lot of talent around. So when he found someone who was quite talented, he would find a way of manipulating them to make them feel like they could do a job. They might not be great, but they could do a job for him. Right? That was the other thing he did. And then when a bowler was bowling really well to Brendan McCullum, he wouldn't just stand there and let them bowl to him. He would go, okay, well, now I'm going to run down the wicket and hit you over backward point for 6. And the truth is that Bazball probably, if you're talking about style, it's much more copied on not even T20 cricket, but the middle overs of one-day cricket is really where the strategic style comes from, right? It's what it's what Root, Morgan, and Stokes did in those 10 to 40 overs marks, and it's what Liam Plunkett and Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali did in those over points. And it's funny that everyone thinks about T20, but if you actually look at it, there's a lot of strike rotation and a lot of like manufacturing wickets with ugly balls that they go about it. And it's funny that you were talking before about the Ollie Pope thing and going, how lucky it was. But it's not lucky. They planned that, right? They knew Ollie Pope couldn't play spin. So they said to Ollie Pope, there's no point you just standing there and trying to play spin. We just saw in this innings why there was no point for that, right? Like, literally can't play a straight one from Ashwin. So it's not luck that he got that run. He completely put India off. Ashwin talked before the series about how he didn't know what he would do with Bazball. Go back to that first test and watch him bowling to Ollie Pope. He was absolutely confused of what to do with this guy who literally Ashwin used to get out for fun. Ashwin used to get Ollie Pope out before he bowled, right? That's how bad Ollie Pope was against Ashwin before. And he made 196, right? So it is looking at what the other team's plans are and going, how do we maximize our strengths and how do we disrupt them? And that's essentially what it comes down to.
Just one more question, and I mean, the thing is, I have a lot of questions to ask, but all right, I'll just limit myself to one more question. Since you spoke about Ollie Pope and how he played spin, just taking off of that, Dhruv Jurel, he had a fantastic game, fantastic outing at Ranchi, both keeping and batting. But talking about his batting, I was having a look at his interception points. He was playing the ball really late. He was playing off his back foot. What do you make of that, especially at a surface, like that was on offer in Ranchi? Were you happy with what you saw of Jurel? Do you think he is a long-term prospect for India, even as a batter itself?
He's very what's the best way of putting it? Neat and tidy, and everything moves in the right direction. So you see a player like that, and to be fair, I still feel the same with Patidar. I know Indian fans won't, but he went out to 2 of the worst balls that anyone's ever delivered, and also punched a ball into the pitch that ran back onto the stumps. So I think both of them just look really composed and like they know what their game is. So I was a big fan of both of them. I think the difference with Dhruv is that he was coming in when the ball was a little bit more soft, right? And if you come in when the ball's soft, there's 2 ways of handling it. There's either the Asia way of launching yourself forward and making sure that sort of nothing happens with soft hands, or you play back. And you say, even if the ball keeps low, I'm still probably going to hit it because it's a little bit softer and a little bit slower than before. And for those who don't understand, this is why there's always this theory about, like, if we have two white balls in a one-day game, right, we're gonna ruin spinners. Do you know who likes new balls? Spinners do, because it's harder, it's faster, it bounces more, it turns more, right? And even if you get a lot of turn with an old ball, chances are it goes slow. So everyone prefers a new ball, including spinners. And I think if you watch what Dhruv Jurel did in this particular innings, he realised that the ball had gone a little bit soft in both the times that he was out there. And he played it late and he played it under his eyes. There might be other games where he might do what Shubman Gill did. So Shubman Gill went a different way, but he was batting earlier, so he came down the wicket. You got to find your own method.
Yeah, it's food for thought. That's brilliant from Jarrod. Next, what do you have for JK this evening?
No, always nice to see him and share space with him. Jarrod, one question that's been the talk of the town. A lot of talk with Bazball is about captaincy, and every captain who's come against Ben Stokes has been made to look like, oh, he's not reacting at all. Oh, they don't have plans. Why does Pat Cummins have a deep point so early? How do you think opponents are going to plan now? Because I think every opponent has kind of felt it now that okay, we've heard about it, but now we've actually experienced it that India were not allowed to bowl the second pacer because the Kiran Kohli went hard at them. How do you think now teams will prepare at the captaincy bit about Bazball, because that's where the major pressure is being applied in terms of with the fields and then also with the bat.
Yeah, so I think that first series, obviously, New Zealand didn't know what the hell hit them, right? And no one did. None of us could really understand what was going on. You then have that kind of follow on against South Africa and then Pakistan, right? Up until that point, no one had kind of got their mind around it. And then New Zealand worked out some things. Australia went quite in another way. The funny thing is that it makes other captains look like they're not doing anything, whereas I thought Rohit was actually moving things around, and he looked tame compared to Stokes, but Stokes does like 7 field changes for 6 balls, right? Like, how are you supposed to compare to that sort of style? But I do think in general, your general point is, I thought during this series, India showed that if you don't get sucked into the constant changes and the ego battles and them trying to trip you up, you can still make runs against them. Their best bowlers are their best bowlers, but that's not when Bazball is at its most dangerous. Bazball is at its most dangerous generally in the third innings when you're trying to set a score against them and you're not quite sure whether you should attack or defend. Or Bazball's at its most dangerous when you're like 200 for 1 and all you have to do is just keep chipping the ball around for the next day and a half, and the test match is over, and suddenly they've got 7 cover fielders, and you're like, well, I still want to play my cover drive, right? And so I think teams are working out now. Okay, well, maybe we just defend for a little while, because the funny thing about Bazball is they can be very patient, England, on in certain plans. The bouncer one is a good one, and not having a fielder out for the sweeper. For the sweep shot is another one. But sometimes they're not patient at all. So why don't you just wait for them to make the decision rather than as a batter trying to force the ball away? And I think Jaiswal was probably someone who I thought worked this out a little bit better than everyone else. But let's be honest. The majority of the Indian batters have still not really dominated this series, right? So I think it's a tricky thing to go up against because it's so different than normal batting.
Interesting. Jarrod, I know you're really starved for time for us, so I'll just give one from the comments because that's just MNL rules. And I'll take Mohammad Arhan's one. Apologize to all the other ones who've had some crackers. He asked, Jarrod, are there any experienced spinners in the English system currently, or do the ECB have to rely on inexperience always for spin?
Well, I mean, one of them's getting a knee operation. So, to be fair, they did bring out Jack Leach. They were a bit unlucky there. Jack Leach should have bowled all the way through the series. I think if they knew that Jack Leach was going to be injured, and you may argue that Jack Leach is always injured, but I think if you knew that Jack Leach was going to be injured, they would have brought Liam Dawson over. But cricket is complicated now. Like, it's much easier for India. You get to choose from your best players. England kind of would have said to Liam Dawson before this series, if you come over, we might play you in a test match. And he's like, but if I don't come over, I can play in SA20 and I can play in the IL, whatever that one's called. The other one that no one cares about. But, right. So you're in a situation straight away where Liam Dawson's in his 30s. He doesn't have long left. Even if he goes over to India, plays good in one test, he's probably not playing the first test of the summer back in England, right? He's not going to play for 2 years, and he might have annoyed a couple of owners, right? So Liam Dawson did that. And the other, I wouldn't say as experienced spinner, but the other player that they could have brought over would have been Will Jacks, who obviously took a 5-wicket haul against Pakistan. More of a part-timer, but he would have at least taken a lot of the load off of Joe Root. He was playing in the same 2 series, right? And Rob Key talked about that. But if we're being really honest, they looked at what they needed, right? And Liam Dawson bowled like Jack Leach. So they're like, well, we don't need another player like that, right? There's another good young spinner, Moriarty, who plays for Yorkshire. He's quite young, but a little bit more experienced than these other guys. He had a great year, but they looked at him again and they went, well, he bowls like Jack Leach. Why would we take 2 or 3 Jack Leaches? What we need is some height, some pace, something different. And to be honest, for as rough as these bowlers have been at times, and, they've struggled to find a length, more often than not, they have bowled wicket-taking balls. And that has kept England in games that they shouldn't have been in at times, and it obviously won them a game as well. So I think that's the reason that you've seen this. But also, that goes back to Bazball, right? Traditional England sides would have convinced Liam Dawson to come out, and it all would have ended up messy, and then he would have written a chapter in it about his book, and we all would have laughed about it years later, right? Whereas they just went, I don't know, let's just try the young guys and see what kind of impact they could have, and at least they have the tools that make sense and complement the other players.
Yeah, interesting. And it's food for thought, guys. But really appreciate your time, Jarrod, in this M&L. Thank you so much for doing this. Given the fact that you've been associated with us in the past, it's always fun to catch up with you and hear from you as well.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Brilliant. Jarrod Kimber, making a little short appearance in M&L, and we tried to get you all the best. And I know Der Imperial went on to say that some elite guesswork. It was pretty much me trying to figure out who we could get this evening, and we're going to get one more this evening for sure.
Wow.
Nick, you're pointing out something?
A great man who's doing the top elite work, and that's you.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Right, let's just go back to that regular framework of M&L then.
And I just want to also ask Nikhil bhai, how are you doing? Grace Harris has also gone 11 overs, 47 for 4.
Forget Grace Harris. Did you see Kiran Navgire 6 and then out?
Yeah.
One sec. So Marizan Karp is wreaking havoc. Is she taking the 4th wicket as well?
No.
57 for 5. Yeah, 12 overs, 57 for 5. UP are just trying to boost everybody. Let's put it in Duckett's term. UP are giving everybody confidence. So let's put it that way.
Okay, time to get some guests. Beg your pardon, the comments, or not guests, because we already finished one. I was going to say we're going to get another guest next week, not today. And that's going to be another fascinating left-hander of the game. And I'll just leave it there. And thanks, Santosh, for this. All the jokes were made in that match review on cricket.com earlier in the day. So big up on you. And good to see all the other cool cats in the chat, which we'll take. Of course, there's plenty of things to talk about, like I said, at the top of the show. And not to forget your space at the end of the show, the 12th man, where we, of course, will take all the ones we've missed out. And Kananbi, Jugal, you've had some good questions. Not to forget Chachant as well. Coming back a little bit to that Ranchi chat before we move on to other talking points this evening. Dhruv Jurel, guys, I'm just reading a lot about him, trying to see past interviews. You look at his domestic record, and it's not like he's played a lot of games. Obviously, the IPL fast-tracked his life, but it's crazy how he even kind of came into the reckoning, took to the sport, in fact, because he had no interest in cricket until there was a summer camp that he had to attend when he was around 11 or 12. And that's what made him really fall in love with the game. Then his father, who, of course, did ply his trade in the army, served the Indian Army, in fact, and is a Kargil War veteran. He also did take and make a lot of sacrifices for Dhruv's career. So it really, really has paid off dividends for Team India. And it's fantastic because every athlete has a tale to tell, and Dhruv has his definitely after today. Akshay, I just want to get your thoughts. You mentioned the technical bits about his interception points with Jarrod, and I've heard from Nikhil and Gurkirat about their thoughts on the DJ. But what do you think this man can go on to do in the longest format of the game? We've seen what he can do at RR in the IPL, but in Test cricket, it really makes you think with this boy, what is his ceiling?
So far, so good. I mean, in terms of his batting, sure, his keeping is still a bit raw. He can sort of improve on it, but of course there were a couple of very good grabs. I'm forgetting whose catch was it. Was it Ollie Pope, the reflex catch? Pad bat, or was it
Anderson.
Anderson? Anderson, sorry, that was Anderson. Right?
Anderson.
Yeah. So it'll definitely. I mean, I would love to keep a keen eye on him. Ooh, is that okay? I don't think that's a wicket. But yeah, in terms of his his batting though, I'm not sure if he'll be someone I'd be looking at, come Australia in December. Of course, it's too early for that. But again, like Jarrod mentioned, which was a very interesting point, because the turn was a lot more slow because he was coming in, when the ball was a lot more softer, it would turn so much more slow. So it became that much more easier for him to sort of, play it late, play it under his eye. Something we'd also observed, while sort of discussing off air, of course, in the office. But against pace, against bounce with the new ball, those aren't things we've seen a lot of. But the way he played with the tail, man, it was so encouraging to see, because we've lost count of how many times we mentioned that Jadeja could tail ke saath khilna aata hi nahi hai. He needs to sort of learn that, and Jurel seems a natural with that. To be able to sort of forge, an extra 90, 100 runs with the tail, that's a fascinating. I mean, that's so fascinating, especially given that he's just a 23, 24-year-old. So I mean, fingers crossed. The Bangladesh series would definitely be another chance for him to sort of cement his spot. And with Pant also sort of breathing down his neck, you never know, he could potentially even be a part of the 11 as a pure batter. So it'll be interesting to see. Interesting signs and healthy signs for Indian Test cricket, so to say.
Yeah, indeed. And Nix, I'll get your thoughts as well in other things. But just to finish up on DJ, our statsman said earlier this series, I remember, that he was critical of KS Bharat in not being as chirpy as other Asian wicketkeepers, but Dhruv Jurel as well. I think the noise and the energy that he was giving his teammates behind the stumps, it was fascinating to see. And he just kept saying those two things, which is chalo chalo bhayo, chalo chalo jaddo, bye. Like, it was just very his own unique impression of the game. Dan just realized there is a Puma logo on that fan kit Abnish is wearing. They even imprint original manufacturer logo in the fake jersey. I mean, it's ridiculous. They've imprinted everything. And Shubham Gupta going on.
Take one.
I bought it off the road. I honestly bought it off the road. Yeah.
And how did Santosh know this? Okay, interesting. All right.
Because of this, I'm guessing the caller would tell you that it could be a one off the road, right?
All right.
Santosh is a keen observer. We know that already.
He's a keen observer for sure. But yeah, Shubham going on to add his thoughts about Dhruv. Shubham, good to see you. And hopefully you guys have had a good start to your week. If not, let us know, because this is a place to vent as well. That's how we build a community. Everyone's keeping a keen eye on the UP game right now, which is happening. And we'll stay updated to that as much as possible. The UP versus the DC game. We're not trying to watch along if you guys just joined us. We'll ask Nikhil, actually. This is a good opportunity to introduce the MNL question tonight. And that is, what has been India's biggest positive this series? There's so many to choose from. Aajkal ke bacche, to quote Rohit on Instagram. But what has pleased you the most, my friend?
The pitches. Very, very happy with the pitches. I think biggest positive because of, we've discussed at length about how having ranked turners make it a lottery of sorts. They reduce the gap between the two sides in terms of the skills that they have. And because you had pitches like these, we tested a lot of different aspects, not just one. I think it gave India a lot of confidence in terms of their middle order batters who are young. Sometime in the middle, they were able to bat big. You saw two double tons from Jaiswal. Uh, I can't remember ranked turners for double tons for teams. Forget a single player. So I think in terms of pitches, it helped. It also helped India in terms of bringing pace in the game, because when you have only ranked turners, your paces are literally unbowlable, if you want to put it that way, because you are always going to rely on your spinners more. So I think, as if you go by the quotes in the pressers, that they did not ask for turners. I think that's great. If the request was not made, because previously we had heard that Dravid had said in after the WTC that they wanted to play on such decks, but that wasn't the case. That is a very, very good positive. It's a long-term positive for India, and of course the Aajkal ke bache, the step up of Kuldeep, Jurel, Jaiswal, very, very massive tick. Almost got it there.
Nearly. Akshay, do you resonate those thoughts? And also, lots have been slacking off this Rohit Rahul Dravid combo, but when they are, of course, giving performances like what we've seen so far this series, you have to laud them.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but there have been instances where you've also felt to criticize them, and again, rightfully so. I'm not going to say that they've been perfect in terms of whatever plans they've come up with, but I do agree with Nikhil by on the pitches and all of that. It would have been very easy and very tempting as well to just sort of provide rank turners, dish out rank turners, and make it a very sort of spin friendly surface. Kudos to them for having such competitive surfaces. We've seen each and every test so far last 4 days. So that's great. Biggest positive, I'll have to say Dhruv Jurel, because I did not even see, like, he wasn't even a part of the squad for the first two tests. From there to sort of, making his debut in this very series and then coming good as well. So I'll have to say it's Dhruv Jurel. Maybe a bit of recency bias, but yeah, I'll stick with it.
Okay, I like your shouts, guys. And let us know in the comments as well who you guys think or what was India's biggest positive this series. Quickly from my side, I generally feel it was Yashasvi Jaiswal and an amazing series. We look at this series back in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Sure, we'll look at this for Jurel and Sarfraz. We'll remember it. But Jaiswal has just stolen the show. And from an India lens, the fact that they've beaten a very, very good team at home without ranked turners. That is very important. In Hyderabad, Vizag, Rajkot, and even Jharkhand, the pitch gave us everything that we had to see. It was not a 2.5-day pitch. It was 4 days, and we saw some really good cricket, which is good to see. So that was the M&L question tonight. You guys can have your say as well in the comments below. But just before I finish, there's some incredible stats on cricket.com as usual. I'll just showcase one and two because I was talking about Yashasvi Jaiswal, and look at what he's done with regards to the series so far, because he has just one run to beat Virat Kohli's tally of 655 in 2016. And Rahul Dravid also notched up 602 runs against England, if you can remember. And more on Jaiswal, because like I said, it's been a sensational start to his test career. So good that he's next to the Don. Most runs after first 8 tests, and he's in some great elite company. Many people would say South Shakil is not elite company, but look, kudos to the Pakistan player to feature in this particular list, but Jaiswal is definitely the talk of the town right now, and rightly so. Right, let's get on to other news, and let's talk about Hardik Pandya really quickly, because he is returning to action, guys, and it's good news for Indian fans, for Mumbai Indian fans, so on and so forth. But I want to ask you all just a really off-field question here about Hardik. Yes, he's going through rehab. Yes, he's coming back into the game. But after sitting out, they say distance gives you perspective. Shouldn't he kind of either add something to his repertoire or nail a role for both his teams, Mumbai and India? I'll start with Nikhil here.
Yeah, you think so, but at this point of time, we don't know what is done in terms of once he starts playing is when we'll be able to tell whether he's added something or not. Because when he had the break before turning up for Gujarat, you saw him come out with a very good time that he had with the bat and ball in terms of his new role. That okay, I want to anchor, and that's what I'll do. I'll bat in the power play if need be, and this is the role that I'm picking for myself. So he would have thought something, we don't know. It's only when he comes back and starts playing is when we will actually have an idea that what all work has gone by in terms of whether it is his fielding or in terms of we saw him in the last IPL where there were moments where you see him not rush after the ball. He's like, okay, I'm not going to dive unless absolutely necessary. So all of these small things are important. Let's see how he comes back, and then maybe we'll know whether he's developed a Yorker or he's worked on hitting hard balls. We don't know. So also hitting spin. So let's see. Once he comes back is when we'll know.
There was a lot of criticism on Hardik Pandya, the T20 player, after he adopted that anchor role, Akshay. Do you think he can reinvigorate himself and kind of roll back the years, the Hardik that we all like, the hard hitter, and obviously to stay fit first and foremost?
I mean, if the question is, can he? Of course he can. He definitely has the skill. The bigger question would be, will he be able to replicate that? I'm not sure of it right now, because even in the opening game, he batted at number 10. I was watching the game live, and of course, the target wasn't high and all of that. But I got to see Piyush Chawla hit a sumptuous 6 against, Shreyas Gopal, sorry. But it'll be very interesting to see the DY Patil tournament and how he plays himself, because he's also leading it. And again, for me, DY Patil T20 tournament is a great precursor to the IPL, because pretty much all of your uncapped IPL players feature in the tournament. So you get to see a lot of these talents. You get an idea of, how are they batting, how are they bowling, what sort of form, what sort of rhythm are they coming into the IPL with. So yeah, I'll still sort of hold my thoughts on him right now because it's just day one of the tournament and it's pretty much day one of him sort of coming back to playing cricket full tilt. So till then, I'm not sure because I don't know. Aaj number 10 pe when his team was in trouble, फिर भी ऊपर नहीं आया वो. So I'm not sure if it's fitness related or was it more of him trying to think, let me give the youngsters a chance and all of that. So इसीलिए देखते हैं. Like let us sort of see how he plays himself into the tournament and all of that.
Okay, now remember, Hardik is believed to be recovering well from that ankle injury that he picked up, I think, midway through the 2023 ODI World Cup. And he began training in Baroda last month and he checked into the NCA for regular fitness monitoring. But he reportedly is on track to lead the Mumbai Indians at the IPL. And of course, will be Rohit Sharma's vice captain, is what Jay Shah confirmed, remember, for the World Cup. So let's see how that Hardik Pandya really unravels in time to come. And Akshay has made this MNL a watch along as usual. But guys, I just want to take some thoughts about that Hardik chat. Hardik and Ishan besties right now, saying Bill, even Ishan features in that tournament. So does Shreyas Iyer. And Surya Kumar Yadav, I think, is still in Germany recovering from that injury of his. So he remains out. And why you people call Nikhil Popat, isn't it disrespect saying Kalu? I don't know what he means for that, but Nikhil just nods politely. What next for Hardik Pandya? Another injury? Hopefully not, because we really want him to, of course, take part of that World Cup. At least some do. I don't know about the rest, but if he can find full fitness and form, it'll be a brilliant thing for India. We'll talk about some other things with regards to the IPL as well and the best of the rest. So hold on to that. And if you guys are just joining us on this Monday Night Live, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Before we started this MNL, it was 46,666. The devil, if you know, you know. But right now we're hoping to be 46.7 before Wednesday, or Thursday, before I think that's my first watch along for the WPL. I'm excited to do that. It's an RCB game, so join us then as well. Real quick update, by the way. England, which is, of course, the team that lost to India, they're going to be coming into Bangalore, a couple of their cricketers, to play golf. And I don't know if I can reach out to a few of them, but I've spoken to the manager, and let's see if we can get some time with the English boys on the golf course if we're lucky. So that's maybe in the pipeline. I know it's wishful thinking, but we'll try to do our best, 100%. More questions from Ashmit and Sanjay Bharti, which we'll take. Mohammad Arhan is a good one as well. But look, the thumbnail suggests, we have to, of course, talk about another pertinent story today. And it comes from Hanuma Vihari, guys, because I don't know if you guys don't know, but let me just, of course, tell you all what happened earlier today. Hanuma Vihari has decided to never play for Andhra again. I'm quoting that because he said that on Instagram after some shocking revelations came about the Andhra Cricket Association, which apparently left him humiliated over the years. Now, he did make his presence felt on Instagram. I mean, his words felt. And we'll get some of the quotes of that right now. And I'll talk the boys through it as well as y'all. And I just want to understand if this has opened up a can of worms or what in Indian domestic cricket. Now, Vihari went on to say, I was the captain in the first game against Bengal. And during the game, I shouted at the 17th player. And he complained to his dad, who's a politician. His dad, in return, asked the association to take action against me. Although we chased 410 against Bengal in that game, I was asked to resign from captaincy without any fault of mine. He further went on to say, boys, I never said anything in a personal note to the player, but the association thought that the player was more important than the guy who gave his body on the line last year and batted left-handed, took Andhra to the knockout 5 times in the last 7 years, and played for India in 16 tests. Now, remember, Vihari's talking about himself there because he's done all those heroic, miraculous things. And just to finish off, he also said that he felt embarrassed, but the only reason he continued playing this season is because he respects the game, his team. And the sad part, he went on to say, is association thinks that players have to listen to whatever they say, and players are there because of them. I felt humiliated and embarrassed, but I've not expressed it until today. And he expressed it all right. And let me just show you what he added to that, because he actually sent a letter to the secretary and the CEO of the Andhra Cricket Association saying, sir, and this was, of course, by the team. This was brilliant because they absolutely backed him. The signatures, as you can see, is from cricketers like Ricky Bowie. There's, of course, other stalwarts in that Andhra team that you can see who vouched for Vihari. And I just want to read this because on Instagram and social media, it's kind of zoomed out. So for the benefit of you guys joining us and listening to us on Spotify, here I go. So this is what the letter says. This is about the ongoing issue about Hanuma Vihari. A complaint has been issued by a fellow teammate in the Ranji squad that Vihari has used foul language and has approached him aggressively. But the truth is that he's not approached him aggressively, and this sort of language has been very common thing in our team atmosphere, and it is always in getting the best out of the team, and it has been used since long ages in the team's dressing rooms. Unfortunately, one of the team members took it personally. We all, the team members, including the support staff, have been witness to it, and we want Vihari to continue as captain. Since we have no issues with him and we always bought best out of us, we could see the team has done very well under his leadership. And it went on to say that this Ranji means a lot to us as the players have been well prepared, and they also started the tournament well against Bengal as the Andhra Ranji team players. We want Vihari to lead our side. So very strong points made, boys. I'll get your thoughts in just a bit, but this is what Twitter looked like earlier today. And Deadpool Reddy, whichever account that was, he, of course, pointing and showing a picture of that cricketer's father in the red shirt, as you can see, about all the political angles and there and thereabouts. I think Daily Culture on the right is a Hyderabad news media agency, which also went on to give us exact details and unraveling some names, which is, of course, led to Vihari saying this. And what's more is that when we kind of find out ourselves who this player was, and look, the perpetrators need to be named here. We're just doing our jobs as a media outlet. If you look at that Andhra 18-member squad and the 17th man in that list, it is, of course, Kuntra Pakam Narasimha Prudviraj. Now, he, of course, is a backup wicketkeeper. He's just played one List A game, and I'm guessing this is the bloke that everyone's returning to. Now, he, of course, on Instagram himself, put out something shortly saying, you guys can abuse me all you want, but this is not true. So he's, of course, fighting his case in his corner. Vihari's come out saying this. What do you guys make of it all? Akshay, I'll start with you. It's ridiculous if that's the case.
I mean, it's as clear as daylight. I don't think we need to sort of speculate too much, especially, again, not a body language. Oh my goodness, you've got to be kidding me. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I'm guessing Deepti Sharma has run herself out there. But yeah,
I'm not doing the watch along.
We're not doing a watch along, but I'm allowed to watch the game, right?
Yeah, but this is some somber news.
I know, of course, but you make it sound as if someone's passed away. Make no mistake, Hanuma Vihari will get a gig. He was supposed to move to MP even before this Ranji as well. He chose to stay back. Unfortunately for him, though, the way things have sort of soured there. But the way, I mean, again, not a body language expert or anything, but I did happen to read the text on Prithviraj's Instagram thing, whatever, the story, yeah. You can sort of clearly see there is that bit of entitlement, the way he sort of almost mocked Hanuma Vihari there. And I'm forgetting, there was a phrase in particular that sort of, clearly made it seem like this guy comes from a place of power. So he knows, that he's protected. So, yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, when the rest of the team is supporting a certain player, you clearly know, what the story is looking like and who's sort of in the right and who's in the wrong. And, yeah, I mean, it's genuinely sad, and this goes on to show the kind of political hot mess, like someone mentioned in our comment section, Indian domestic cricket is. There you go. Thanks, Jagal, for that.
Yeah, Nick, what was alarming is that even when the team put out the statement and you saw that letter which I just showed, they went on to say that the language used is something which is always accepted in each dressing room. I mean, that way I think people can complain about Rohit Sharma after he said garden mein ghumenga or whatever, right? And these things are said to people in the heat, but once you cross that line in terms of going back to the dressing room, it's fine. So I don't know how much that guy took it as a trigger, got angered by it, complained to his father, but it's almost school-like that you're going to complain to your father gets intervened and of course wants to flex his muscle. And this is an Indian Test cricketer. This is a big cricket association in our country. We're talking about the Andhra Pradesh state here. What does it do for them, and how do they kind of put paper over the cracks if they have to?
I think it just gives a lot more eyes that you need to look a lot deeper into everything, because this is one story that has come out. Now, whichever way it is, you need to get to the bottom of it and find out that why is it happening? Why did it take all of this to happen for it to be with a test cricketer that he had to come out like this? And all of this is a controllable, so to speak. And it's not the first association which you heard where players have had fallouts, and there have been run-ins with people who have more power. But then when you want people to play domestic cricket, you'll have to take care of domestic cricket in these aspects as well, that such things are not happening. Because today Hanuma Vihari can come out and say this, but can a young guy who's very new into the system come out and say anything if anything untoward happens to him? No, right? Because that's how the system works. So the system has to take care, and this is a good time to just reflect into what are the processes that are set in place to avoid such things happening again and again. And of course, it goes without saying that you have to get to the bottom of this.
Let's see how this moves forward with Hanuma Vihari, because, of course, like he said himself, 16 tests for India. We all remember that amazing century that he got against the West Indies, in fact, and not to forget all these other things that he's done for India, which is batting in that Sydney test with Ashwin, and not to forget batting left-handed for his state, in fact, which was a clip on Twitter that he himself put out. So, look, as Bill said, one should not conclude anything without knowing the other side. We're just presenting facts right here, right now on the MNL, just to draw a little bit of light in the story and what's kind of going on. Lots of other people saying things pertaining cricket elsewhere. Santosh Udupa saying another 50 for Babar when hardly anyone watches. And I think Nani Ko4 going on an ad saying last month Bihar turned out with two teams to play a Ranji match. One was selected by Bihar president, one by secretary. I completely remember that one as well. Right, time to move on to the best of the rest, because there's so much more to talk about indeed. And that's where we can, of course, come together as cricket fans. Right, lots gone on in the last week of the game that we love the most. And you think to yourself about Australia and New Zealand, you think the PSL is happening, the Ranji Roundup is there, and the newsletter, which we'll showcase in just a bit, and some IPL gossip as well. So 5, 6, 7 things to talk about. Where do you guys want to start? Akshay?
Take a guess, Savneesh. Take a guess.
IPL gossip?
Yeah, clearly IPL gossip. Of course, I'm interested in IPL gossip because that's what I've been covering. Oh my goodness, yeah. Let's start any way you want. I don't mind talking about the WPL as well. And of course, RCB's game, I want to hear your thoughts. Did you catch the game live? Were you able to see the last over?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I saw the game from office itself, and it was a shit day for me because I think United lost the football, and then I was watching the cricket, and I think they were 32 of 24, and I was still having no hope. And then it was absolutely brilliant. I've never ever seen such mayhem in the crowd, even for some of the men's games. So kudos to all the people going to the Chinnaswamy. Met some of them doing fan cams, absolutely chuffed with RCB getting a W in their first game. And they play, I think, tomorrow night and then Thursday, right?
That's right. Tomorrow the Gujarat Giants and Thursday Delhi Capitals.
Thursday's a big game against MI or Delhi?
No. Delhi Capitals. Saturday's MI.
Oh, okay, fine. So is Saturday am I doing the watch along?
No, Saturday it's me because you would be busy with fan cams and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's see how it all unravels for RCB. But the WPL, like I've of course told Akshay multiple times as well, that these guys have flushed us some really good content, and even in terms of written pieces, it's good to hear. But I want to get Nikhil's thoughts on a topic that he raised ours on WhatsApp earlier this week with regards to the PSL Howler and how Hawkeye had to apologize to the PCB. And Alim Dar, who upheld that decision at the time, couldn't believe his eyes. Where do you stand on that? And tell me more about the PSL, what's happening in that part of the world, Nix.
I stand in line, impact and hitting. That is, it was as clear as daylight, because it's also very rare to have such kind of an error, such glaring error. It was surprising to Shadab and the team as well, Islamabad United, when they saw it on the screen, that how are they showing a ball that is completely it was an arm ball supposed to come in with the arm, and it was, you could feel okay, maybe umpire's call, and Riley Russo was the guy who benefited there, and that game could have changed from there, because long tail, had they got him then, things could have been different. But it's just something with Pakistan and Hawkeye. I remember that Yorker I think it was Shan Masood where which showed it pitching and then swung away. That is, it also happened with Pakistan. Now this also Hawkeye error happens there. But what's interesting in PSL is Lahore. And yeah, exactly, Jugal. It is impossible. How are they finding themselves without a win after 5 games? And you look at that lineup, it has a lot of names, but again, it's my favorite word, the usage. Even yesterday, RVD scored his first PSL ton, 50 to 10 overall. But he couldn't close the game out because they kept sending local talents. I'm all in for promoting local talent. Completely agree that it is PSL. You have to send Pakistan talent, but it is Sikandar Raza, it is Carlos Brathwaite. You have a game to win. At least send one of them. They sent Jahandad, which is fine. Okay, he's sent out to hit, but then you're sending Bhatti, who again, see, it's not a personal enmity there, but you're not helping yourself with you're the best usage. In a game earlier, they held out overs for Shaheen and Haris, thinking that we'll use them at the end, but the game was done by then. So it's very awkward or weird to see that happening in 2024. That you have these teams with so many big names still doing, you kind of feel controllable is not done well. So it is weird, but yeah, that is PSL.
It is, and people are jumping on to say their thoughts and have their thoughts on the PSL. Greg, welcome to you this Monday evening. PSL should hire Michael Want and install cameras in third umpire's room. Yeah, he was saying, what about DRS? The fact that those trucks and the person operating Hawkeye should be really in question, so on and so forth. And Nix, where are you watching PSL, Fan Code or Crick Buzz? I think if I had to watch it, I'll watch it in Fan Code or Crick Buzz or Fan Code, right?
Fan Code.
And yeah, they're used to tampering, so can't blame technology. Going on to say, Santosh, keep your comments coming, guys. What is there another wicket?
Yeah, Shweta Sehrawat, yaar.
Shweta Sehrawat, the under-19 captain, goes. She played well against RCB.
She did well today also.
Today also she played well.
Played really well. But yeah, Nani Kofo going on to say, I saw Sam Ayub batting with eyes closed and swinging his eyes. Other pitches easy to bat by, which he's swinging by the line. Sam Ayub, I think he got, 38 today? I was seeing for a while, and then I think he's departed. He opens with Babar, which is good to see, and then Shadab also playing today. He's got 2 for so far, and he was having none of the DRS as well because it was receiving end of that. Right. Let's talk about the Ranji.
One last thing about PSL before we go to Ranji. Nikhil bhai, did you see yesterday's noon game? Quetta Gladiators, I'm guessing, was it Multan? I'm not sure who were they playing. Usman Tariq, this was the first time I saw him bowling, but yeah, मतलब क्या है वो action? पूरा एक तो रुक के फिर, I mean, there seems to be a clear bend. I would like to see the angle on that, man, because there's a clear bend of his elbow here.
What's his name?
Usman Tariq. Like, it's Akash, Avnish knows how our colleague Akash bowls. It's almost like Akash is bowling. Like, that's how bad it is.
So he stops.
He stops and he bends his elbow. Like, you can clearly see him bend his elbow. I'd really like to see the angle.
Maybe an
that.
ICC suspect.
You can do a deep dive.
Okay, guys, talk to me about the Ranji. What's happening? All I've read is Sai Kishore and his good performances. And then, of course, that game which involved Vihari, which MP won by 4 runs. Anything else that I've missed?
4 runs.
Karnataka Vidarbha, of course,
you
going on.
Tall chase, yeah.
377, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, something around that. So it's 2 important chases. Now see how they play out.
True.
Yeah, Karnataka need
the target.
Yeah, Karnataka need 268 runs more.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see how they go about that thing. Mayank's still not out in 61. There's just Reed. Sort of Nirala, good to see you. Looking at how the Bangalore pitch is playing in the WPL. If it the same way it plays the IPL, it's game over RCB. Let's see how that really goes, guys. Come on. Australia, New Zealand then. Australia notching up their 100th T20 international win, which is quite ridiculous. 3-0, and it just makes you think that they're probably going to win another ICC tournament in West Indies. Or do you think no? They're looking well-oiled, yeah. They're looking really well-oiled. But
when are they not well-oiled?
No, but did you like anything that apart from that first game? I didn't see the second and third that much. That first game was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first game was a cracker. I saw the second as well. Third, I couldn't catch up because way too early for normal standards. So that is third game I did not watch. The second game again, it felt like they had a chance, New Zealand, but then the lower order again saved. Pat Cummins just somehow finds a way to make an impact with the bat as well. Ensured they get more than 170 on board, and then New Zealand just crumbled 102 all out. So let's see how they turn up for the West Indies and what conditions are there, because I think that is going to dictate majority of it.
You saw RCB getting RCB Akshay, Lockie Ferguson getting Maxi bowls.
Saw that, and I'm pretty sure Avnish must be pleased with how Lockie's performed there. Across the three T20Is, that's phenomenal bowling there. But yeah, Lockie over green, come on, Arhan. यार मतलब at least not in the beginning. कहाँ से मतलब balance ही नहीं रहेगी फिर. Batting किससे कराओगे? Karan Sharma से. So, let us see though. Let us see. Hi says bye.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Aussies are just too good, saying Mehul favorites to win the T20 World Cup. But yeah, they've honestly done everything. And I think Zampa also got some slack. I think he was doing something really odd during the national anthems, was it? I think he was first sniffing something, then he was picking his nose. He had his hands in his pocket, so on and so forth. New Zealand have an inferiority complex of Australia. Expects Australia to win the 2-0. That is also going to be really something to see. When was the last time Australia played New Zealand in a Test series, guys?
It's been like 7-8 years. 2015, if I'm not wrong, was the last time. When Hazelwood said who the F's the umpire. 2016 probably that was.
Yeah. So that's still the Hadlee-Chappell-Hadlee thing. Hadlee-Chappell.
It's Chappell-Hadlee.
We have the weekly newsletter version of
it. Newsletter. I was insinuating that, boys. Let's go on.
If you say so.
Which is not done by GNT this week. Apparently, it comes from Pramod Anant this time around. So let's, of course, share our screens and make you all happy by showing you our newsletter, which is available as we speak on the app and, of course, on the website as well. Let me just take that out so you can see it clearly. What features in the weekly this week? We've already spoken about a whole host of things. The India, of course, game and the key match results there. We've, of course, spoke about the PSL. I wanted to talk about Hasaranga a little bit and how he got hot-headed. He absolutely lost his mind when that Kamindu didn't get the wide against Afghanistan, but it didn't matter because Sri Lanka won the series 2-1. What the other news? Shami, unfortunate, gets ruled out of the IPL. There's more other things. Rian Ahmed has flown back home due to personal reasons, so I don't think he's going to be taking part in that 5th test. Jack Leach, as Jarrod mentioned earlier on the show. And then the IPL sort of schedule, which we'll talk about right now, and how it excites us all because we've not reacted to that and I completely forgot about it. We should have started the show with that, in fact. But yeah, that's the newsletter and it's available. And just to finish up also, you can see all the cool clips on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the best of social media posts. And not to forget the cricket.com interviews and features you simply can't miss. One with Rana. Then we did one with Shabnam Ismail. There was one with, I think, Grace Harris as well, where she goes on to actually tell Akash, who was a writer for that one, in terms of how she names her bats. The bats McSpicy and the Zinger Crisp on burgers, which is absolutely madness. IPL, guys, the schedule is out finally. We were pulling our hair last MNL, I think, wondering when it's going to be out. It is finally come to the fore, and it is CSK versus RCB Game 1. What a way MNL also does this to our CSK versus RCB. They could have picked anything else, but it picks Nikhil's teams against our teams. And already I'm thinking to myself, should we think of it as, look, we're not going to get any points there, Akshay, and look at the other 4 fixtures, which are pretty decent. Because CSK, man, Dhoni's not going to lose a single game at home this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, देखो जीतने के लिए अगर होता ऑप्शन भी होते तो मैं बोल देता मयांक डागर, हिमांशु शर्मा, करण शर्मा, ग्लेन मैक्सवेल. ये स्पिन अटैक के साथ अगर आरसीबी जीत गई ना भाई, और मतलब व्यूअर्स यहाँ पे जो बोलोगे मैं करूंगा, ठीक है? यू कैन क्लिप दिस, ठीक है? ये बॉलिंग अटैक के साथ अगर आरसीबी जीत गई, ये स्पिन अटैक के साथ, दैट इज, So wait. Don't forget, of course, Kohli and Faf will then have to also play CSK spinners. Yeah.
But 1 second, in the watch along for the auction, at the time you were like, yeah, Yash Dayal is mid-start. Yeah, Mayank Dagar is Jadeja. Yeah, you were
Dude,
absolutely
enough,
confident.
enough. Come on. Both of us know that's nowhere remotely
So
close
now what?
to the kind of conversation
RCB are
we
not coming
had.
close. So RCB are not coming close to the title.
Not title, I'm talking about winning a Chepauk. Understand, they're two different things. And that's one game. Yashdal ho, Mitchell Stark ho, Mera Baap ho, Tumhara Baap ho, nothing's going to happen. It's Chepauk. Like, what's the point? Yashdal Stark ko leke karenge kya wahan pe?
We beaten them once there, right? 2008, and then after
2008, exactly. 2008. A good 16 years ago. We're in 2024 now. Of course, MSD continues to play. That's it. No one else.
and after that, there's nothing, right?
Nope.
Okay, next, what are your thoughts about the schedule which was announced? And I just want to get your perspective on who's going to, early sort of predictions in that first 15, 16 games you've seen. Who has the best sort of fixtures?
See, I don't think I'm looking too much into fixtures at this point of time in terms of advantage, because a lot of people are going to be thinking about the 11th in terms of availability, in terms of fitness. MI have a lot of fitness problems in terms of Sky is coming back from an injury, Kishan has had time off, Hardik is coming off of an injury. So that is there. And then very keen to say Conway, who had an injury scare there. So again, you don't know what lineups are going to be. So in terms of 11s, at this point of time, not to worry. And I don't think teams should also worry too much, because we're only going to see what's there on that given day. So now I think it's very, very early. Once we have everybody in and we know who's fit to play, who's unfit, who's probably going to take few more games, then is what I feel it might do something. But Abhigale, far too less games to take a call. Because somebody is a clear winner, they'll enjoy the schedule.
Okay, let's take some comments right now. Avnish is in good form. Sub him as a Tom Curran replacement for the Chepauk game. RCB actually have a very solid record in Chepauk against teams other than CSK. Will Jack sitting on the bench will be a shame. And you will have to post your Chamak Chalo dance reel, Akshay, if RCB wins it. And Board have not announced the groups of the teams. If share the schedule, what sorcery is this? And RCB will destroy CSK. Mark my words. Both Kohli and Faf will score a century. Sir Dhoni will be 8 out of 32 balls. All right, RCB should play Ashish Sopna in that game against CSK.
I'd love to.
And
if that happens, Faf and Kohli score a century and MS bats 32 for 8, I will wear RCB jersey for all the watch-alongs I ever do for cricket.com.
32 over 8 and 32 of 8 me 8 of 32.
वही मतलब 32 balls में 8, so I will wear RCB jersey for all the watch-alongs that I do for cricket.com.
It's crazy. I think we have a lot of RCB fans in the comments. Let me just reflect that particular, schedule, if you'd like, that we got privy to. And let's see what else are the exciting games there. Obviously, no one cares about Saturday. Let's move on to...
Just look at that.
The best game to watch is... Yeah. The only game that I'm very, very looking forward to is the 24th March game. And again, you have to be smart enough to realize not RRLSG, and it is GTMI. Because that's something that I want to see. I want to see some banter. And that should be good. You want to see that. Rivalry is building up. It's a rivalry that will build up now. So that's good.
No, for sure. And I'll take more comments coming through. Dhoni is RCB's biggest asset. What happened to golf course? They're coming here. England are coming here, Nani. When is the GG versus Virat game this time? RCB KKR, it'll be great. That's happening, I think, if we go back to this particular depiction. RCB KKR, when is that, boys?
RCB KKR is in April.
29th March. Yeah, it's a Friday. By the way, also all you guys, because you love Monday Night Live, now I realize most of the games will be on a Monday and we might not do the watch along. So we'll do the Monday Night Live. So for example, the Bangalore-Punjab game on the 25th March, we'll be doing an MNL during the game, which will be crazy. But you can, of course, catch Akshay. My reactions will be watching the game live and doing the podcast as well. And similar rules for the rest of the Monday Night Lives during the IPL. But some cracking games. And Vizag as a venue also for Delhi. Remember, that is an important thing to take note of. And tell us what you like in terms of the schedule so far, and what you feel might be the outcome of some of those games. Because like Nick's mentioned, that first weekend does have a few great games with GTMI definitely going to be the headliner in that one. And then you look at even CSK GT on Tuesday. That's a good one. It's going to be Dhoni against Gill, and more fascinating subplots like the IPL always promises. And Sachin saying Avro is even right when kidding. Nobody cares about SRH PVKs. I was joking, but you know what I mean, right? Like, people are so hell-bent on RCB, CSK, and MI that all the other teams get slandered. But look, it's a 10-team tournament. That's what makes it absolutely exciting. Any more IPL gossip, or can we move on to your quiz, Akshay?
None that I know of. So,
just
sorry.
for the MIRR game, we should get Somesh as guest.
Oh, yes. Oh,
because
yes.
he has both teams biased. So, yeah.
That's
true.
That's true.
Okay, super. Last couple of comments before we move on. And we'll, of course, take Sachin's comment again. We got Azar Joseph and Ashsel. Nothing can stop us. Take my Himanshu Sharma question. Guys, I will in the 12th man section. That's why I haven't taken it yet. So don't worry. And Greg booing RCB. Greg, look at you, mate. Look at you. Right, time to move on to Akshay's quiz. And let's see what he has this week in Howzzat. Right, last week, Akshay asked you guys this. He asked you to identify the player. And as you can tell, he asked you who this player is with CSK, Kings 11 Punjab, Mumbai Indians, RCB, and Sunrisers. Akshay, you take over while I have a glug of water.
All right, yeah. So, like Avni said, the question last time was, Chennai, Punjab, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. These are the franchisees played for by a certain player. So, you had to guess the player. The answer, of course, was Chris Jordan. A lot of you got that right. Nani Kaur, of course, was one of the first ones to do so. In fact, he'd also put it up on the live chat unnecessarily. Like we've spoken about like umpteen number of times before, make sure you don't sort of, put your answers out in the live chat, because you're only going to help out your fellow viewers. So you've just got to wait for the live stream to end. Anyways, Nani Kaur sort of got in himself voucher. Just an update from the previous Howzzat. Kulwant Khedrolia was also a right answer, because he apparently was signed by the Delhi Capitals as a replacement for Manimaran Siddharth in 2021. So I stand corrected on that. Darshan Senthil, of course, pointed that out, and he was also the first one to, put out an answer there. So he's won himself a voucher. He's already claimed it, if I'm not wrong. So congratulations to Darshan as well. Belated one, of course. So yeah, that's the update on that. Now coming back to this week's Howzzat, there you go. It's Chennai Super Kings, Mumbai Indians, Royal Challengers Bangalore, and Sunrisers Hyderabad. Just 4 franchisees, unlike 5 last time. So you've got to guess who this player is. So there you go. Avnish probably is thinking who this could potentially be. Let's see if you people get it right in the comments at least. And once again, guys, wait for the live stream to end. Do not put your answers out in the live chat. Wait for the live stream to end and put your answers out, or rather put your responses out in the main comment section once the stream is ended. So yeah, that's a question for the day this time.
Yeah, just to go back to that, CSK, MI, RCB, and SR is no particular order, right? He's just played for these 4.
Yeah, the only order is alphabetical: Chennai, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. I mean Sunrisers. So it's only alphabetically arranged. So yeah, let's see.
I'm thinking a certain KJ.
All right, you can think of a certain KJ, but make sure whatever you think, just let me know in the private chat and don't sort of blurt it out loud for the others.
And Jugal, no, you're pretty close to this guest. It's all Virat Kohli.
Yeah. Virat Kohli is a great shout. Very
good shout. Very good shout.
Yeah.
Karan Sharma, Partha Patel, lots of different shouts.
Teams with billionaire owners. Interesting, Sachin. Nicely done.
Yeah, for sure. Bro, tell me one thing. How all players are paid for RCB? Every quiz has them as one team.
मैं क्या करूं भाई? मतलब it's not like मैंने कुछ किया है.
What do you mean? You are doing it. You are
his question is, how have they all played for RCB? Abhi मैं क्या करूं? If they've actually played for RCB, they've played for RCB. Like मैं क्या करूं मतलब?
You thought of RCB players and then you made the quiz.
I don't think of RCB players. I'm just thinking of players who played for Bas, khatam.
Mehul, good guess, man. Sunny Gavaskar. I don't think he
Completely
plays.
agree. Give him the
Nearly,
voucher right away.
nearly did. But look, guys, it's been fun having you all on the MNL, and it'll only get better by, of course, taking your questions in the 12th man segment right now. Let's get on with it. Right, we'll start with Mohammad Arhan's question because he did ask us this a while ago. Does RCB's find Himanshu Sharma playing these tournaments or any cricketer can't seem anywhere to track his form? Akshay?
Rajasthan Premier League, you can track him there. He played 4 games in the first season of the Rajasthan Premier League. So he did play the finals as well. I'm forgetting what the name of his team was. Was all right. Matlab, he did get smashed in one of the games, but he was decent. He tha. But again, you'll also have to factor in the standard of batting in these tournaments. So we can't really sort of say anything. Even if he sort of comes up with a 5 for 9 and 4 overs. That's not really going to count for much given the kind of batting he'll be up against. Apart from that, he's not a part of the DY Patil T20 tournament, unfortunately. At least not a part of the 4 teams that play today. Baki teams ke squads kahin bahar aaye nahi hai. So let's just wait. That's 16 teams in total. So by tomorrow, the day after, you'll sort of have an idea of who's playing and who isn't.
Okay, interesting. Let's give Nick's one of his own in terms of Dipti and the UP Warriors. Now, Darshan says, I don't know if you guys have already covered the WPL, but why UPW batting Dipti so low in situations where having an experienced bat would be an ideal thing?
It's very surprising. It's very weird also to see all the 3 overseas batters lined up one after the other. Something we discussed prior to going live. It's felt like old RCB where it's entirely top heavy. You get the top 3 early and then the game is done. Which I think it's also unfair because it is also putting out a lot of inexperienced young Indian batters in terms of international batting and opponent experience. Not that they haven't played cricket much, but you're putting far too much pressure combining them all together. So I'm not quite sure how they are seeing this, and it is one of the perks of having an overseas batter as a captain that if they go out of form, you're literally left with no option, but you have to play them every single game, as opposed to say having an all-rounder of sorts who can probably just find a way to fit them better, so to speak. And in terms of Deepthi also, even in that game, uh, some of the shots played, the less said the better. It's okay. The good thing or the silver lining from that game is I'm just happy it'll give them a lesson that, if next time you are in a pressure situation like that, what options not to take, or how not to think, or how not to put pressure on yourself. So, and that is the entire purpose of WPLC. So I think in terms of that, I don't mind all the low scores. They cannot win ever. It's fine as long as they're taking the right lessons. That the next time I see Kiran batting the last over of a crucial over where you've already lost 2 wickets, you've already survived a dismissal. I don't want her to walk down and give it away. Again, the idea was right, execution was wrong, yes. But then, as you said, even today, Dipti is the best collapse arrester. You see Cap getting Talia, just send Dipti out there. The max he will do is hold up an end. What's the problem there? You anyways ended up with just 119 on board. And even then, you had Sophie just facing a limited number of balls. So, usage, something, I think I should get a t-shirt printed now.
Yeah, it's high time, and I didn't know whether a sports fan is speaking in sarcasm, but he's
No,
going on.
it is. It's fine. I understand that you have a very limited and a fixed role for a person. It's okay, but this is the best role, collapse arrester. That is something she can do well as well.
Okay, an update coming in through Crick Nerd saying just switched on to the PSL. Lahore crowd is erupted for a 59-ball century of Babar, and then Jugal having a question, and he had a couple of other interesting ones earlier as well. But I'll take this one momentarily, Jugal. So good evening to you, and hopefully you're having a good day. Akshay, he asks, do you foresee IPL teams asking BCCI to release their players for SE20 and the MLC because there's so many of the Indian overs overlapping? So surely that's sometime that might have to give way, right?
If I don't think this will happen. If anything, I see IPL sort of becoming a longer tournament. So I don't know how will these tournaments exist, these other tournaments exist, because Jaisha I don't know if it was Jesh or Arun Thumal, but they've already confirmed that, they've all but confirmed that starting next season, it'll be home and away for all teams. So that means 18 games instead of a 14-game tournament, which means it would be a proper 3 month out and a full 3 month tournament, unlike the 2 month and change that we see right now. And going forward, once IPL expands, this is a chat we've had off air as well, but I see IPL becoming a 5-6 month tournament in about 6 years. At the best. It could even happen earlier. So I don't think this will happen because BCCI won't let Indian players play, because that's the novelty of the IPL, which is why it gets so many eyeballs outside India as well. So I don't think BCCI will allow. Will IPL teams try asking? Sure, they might, but I don't see it ending positively for them.
Okay, Nikhil, another one comes your way, and another one WPL, and another one UPW, because Tushar Singh saying, Nikhil, why do you think UPW batting lineup players are batting a number bit higher than their position? Vrinda, McGrath, Grace Harris.
Just what we discussed, and also the entry points. I discussed the same thing when I was in the comments in the watch along, that it is fine to send Grace Harris very early, but then you are leaving it out very early, that if she gets out now, it's done. You will need Jay Matati then. So I think it's also about grouping the right players. I think Virendra's had 2 tough games, and it's okay. It can happen when you're playing your first season, and there is expectations to come good. But then it's where I felt Shweta's come good 2 games in a row now. So maybe these are the signs that they'll pick up, and they'll probably arrange them better, because I definitely think they can use Deepthi as a collapse. So that should definitely be done, if not anything else.
Okay, last one comes in the form of Shubham Gupta, and he says, question to Akshay, should the WPL have had only IPL franchises just like the SC20? I see very tiny fan base for the UPW and GG, despite LSG and GT being from the same state.
Very good shout, and I really wish this were to be the case. In fact, last year when the team auction, so to say, was happening, when all the teams and all of the owners were submitting tenders, deep down I was really hoping that it'd be 5 IPL team owners coming into the WPL, because like Shubham rightly has mentioned, they would tap into an existing fan base, and it would go a long way in sort of these players and these teams also achieving some sort of popularity. Like talking about RCB, for instance, we've seen that RCB, the men's side of things at least, has a strong fan base, and it sort of trickled down into the women's side of things as well. Because Avnish, you did the fan cam where you were asking people to name players. The fact that these players these people who've never really seen women's cricket now know Renuka Thakur, Sophie Devine, Shriyanka Patil, Asha Shobna, even like all these names now have sort of entered the average Indian consumer's household, and that's such a great thing. Now with UP Warriors, with the Gujarat Giants, they have to build from scratch, and that won't be easy, especially given that women's cricket is definitely not something that's viewed a lot more. KKR did place a bid, but RR's bid was so low, it was almost like they weren't even trying. To put things into perspective, Mumbai Indians bid 1,000 crores, 1,000 odd crores. RCB bid 900 odd crores. The lowest winning bid was 600 odd crores, and Rajasthan had bid 120 crores or something like that. Like it was almost like they were just bidding for the sake of it, so that they can say, "Ki boss, humne bid to kiya tha bhai." So I was genuinely disappointed with that, because they were nowhere close to winning a bid. KKR was still in the vicinity. Fun fact: Diageo, the owners of RCB, had bid for RCB and had also placed a bid for Kolkata, in case they don't get the Bangalore franchise. So their next bid was for Kolkata, and they would have gotten that. So it would have made for some interesting team names.
Yeah.
Like
RCB needed 49. Yeah.
RCK.
Yeah.
RCB 49K would have been a good one, but yeah, take it.
But
No,
thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that generally, if they were going to use the Football Premier League as a blueprint for the IPL, they should have done that with the WPL as well. Because even if you look at it there, it's Man United and Man United women, and Barcelona feminine. So it generally is the same club, and then you can have academies, and you can have those kind of things where you're churning up more talent, and it just is the whole grassroots package, right?
The BBL as well, the WBBL, like exactly the same.
Exactly the same. So let's see if
then maybe let's put it that way. Maybe UP Warriors may have a men's team someday.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, let Lucknow F off, and let us have a UP Warriors men's team.
Yeah, vice versa. SPK also going on to say, should we really be happy with this win? I was thinking, there's nothing new. We won the 17th series at home look, let's not take anything for granted. These wins are very important, like we addressed even in the earlier live show. Guys, that's all we have in this one. Thanks so much for watching. There's been so many of y'all commenting as usual, and we really appreciate all of you guys. Please like this video. Darshan, Shubham, SVK, Crick Nerd, Abbas, Jugal, the names go on. And pardon me if I've missed out any of the comments. Nikhil, Akshay, good to see you. And there's plenty more content coming out later as well this week. The watch-alongs are there. There is, of course, a cricket.com classic, which comes out tomorrow, and more fun things such as cricket.com Unwind. And that is a fantastic guest too. It's time for us to wrap proceedings, and we'll leave it there. Thanks, Akshay, Nikhil. We'll see you soon.
Yes.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.